James Wan, good on you, sir. Good on you. Horror sequels are about as rare. Good horror sequels are about as rare as finding a unicorn in this world. That's how great this movie is as a sequel and as a standalone horror movie. I'll get that out right now. Oh my god, The Conjuring 2, people. Go see this movie. If you can't tell, I'm excited. I'm a horror buff myself. I love a good scary movie. I love a thriller. I love being on the edge of my seat. I like the anxiety of the movies. Very rarely do I get a jump scare that scares me, but in this movie, I got a couple, maybe three. Yeah, this movie, if you love horror, go see this movie. I know I'm a little late with this. I just saw the movie this weekend, and I might have to go see it again before it leaves theaters. James Wan has the it factor when it comes to horror. The absolute it factor when it comes to horror. The Conjuring, the original Conjuring was so good, especially you left that movie with this one scene in particular. If you haven't seen The Conjuring, this is a little bit spoilery, but if you've seen it, the one scene that always stuck with you in that movie was when the mom is in the basement, lights go out, she's striking the matches, and then they end up they go out because they're burning her finger, and then the ghost from behind comes from ahead. Love that part. That leaves you with that image in your head that, wow, that movie actually did something for me. This one, while it doesn't have that lasting like image in your head, there is that one scene in it that will get you talking for a very long time. I still talk about it since I've seen it. It is, the camera work on it is outstanding. It's great. When you would see it, it involves this creepy nun and this photograph, this painting, and it's an absolutely amazing scene. You think you know what's gonna happen, but it doesn't. And then once you let go of your guard and you ease up a little bit, then that's when it jumps at you. It's great. If you see this movie, or if you have seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. James Wan's cinematography, the way he films this movie, the way he filmed the original Conjuring, that in and of itself is worth seeing this movie. Whether it was a horror movie, an action movie, regardless, the man just knows how to film a movie. The camera angles, the way just certain scenes were shot, the way that you get the feeling of the emotion in these scenes between Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. I think that's how you say her last name. Just saying it. Anyways, Vera and Patrick Wilson, they play Ed and Lorraine Warren, and the way that some of these scenes are filmed, you feel the emotion between these two, like they're actually married and they're actually a couple in real life. But man, James Wan, man, you got it going. They've already announced a spin-off film, just like they did from the original Conjuring with Annabelle. This one's going to involve the creepy-ass nun in the movie. Pardon my French. And I hope, because the Warrens did so many cases, I hope that they do a Conjuring 3, because this can definitely be a franchise that has many movies as long as Patrick Wilson and Vera are on board. And they keep finding these kids that are amazing actors. I don't know where they're finding these people, but good Lord, man. These kids, the one girl that is in this movie, that it pretty much, the movie's like, that's what the movie's about, is about this girl being possessed. I think her name is Madison Wolfe, and I think she plays Janet in the movie. She sold me so much on some of these scenes. She was outstanding. To be a kid, just like in The Jungle Book, these kids, man, they're coming out of nowhere. And you would think that as a kid, they could find any single kid in the world and they could play this role. No ordinary kid could play the role that this girl played in this movie. She was outstanding. It was believable. Her interaction with the humans was outstanding. The way that she seemed possessed was real and gritty. Just the acting, top to bottom, was outstanding. I can't applaud them enough for the casting, and Patrick Wilson and Vera are just unbelievable. unbelievable actor and actress, and they kill it again in this movie. So amazing. Uh, it it'll probably for me be one of my favorite movies of the year. It was just that good as a movie. The ending is a little bit predictable. You as normal horror movies go, you tend to know what's about to happen, but they do a good enough job covering that up a little bit with everything else that's coming along in the movie. You get you get your money's worth out of it. Could I've dealt with a little bit better ending? Probably, but it was outstanding from start to finish. This movie was just priceless. It was perfect to me. It was great. Some of the pacing was a little off, I felt, but you never feel bored in this movie. Usually some horror movies you get these low points and there's a lot of talking and there's not a lot of activity, and why do you go to a horror movie? To be scared. And it's in those moments when you're not being scared, you have to stay connected with the movie. And that's what this movie does so well, is it keeps you connected with the movie, and you stay with the movie from start to finish, and it doesn't slow down. The way I describe this movie for how it scares you, you see what's on the screen, all right? You see it, and you're like, that's not good. I know it's about to jump at me or something along those lines. And then it doesn't. And then it goes back to that image, still there. Nothing happens again. Goes back to a different scene or different shot, different angle. Nothing happens. You go back to it, nothing happens. And then once you ease up and you're not on the edge of your seat anymore, you sit back in your chair, then that's when it happens. And that is just, it builds the anxiety, and that's what great horror movies do. They build anxiety to the scares. You just can't keep throwing jump scares out there left and right at you. And yeah, there's a couple jump scares, but overall, the scariness of this movie comes from that building of anxiety within, and that comes from James Wan's cinematography and the acting. And this is one of the better horror genre movies that you will find through the lifetime of horror movies. I mean, this thing is outstanding. It is so good, people. So good. Are you listening to me? So good. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. Does it make the final cut? Abso-freaking-lutely, it makes the final cut. I love horror movies. I have seen way too many horrible, crappy horror sequels, or just plain horror movies in general. If you go through Netflix, you already know what I'm talking about. This one will be talked about for a very long time, just like The Conjuring, the original one, is still talked about. Just because of that one scene, this one will be the same way. Do I feel like it's better than the first one? Debatable. I don't think it is. I think the first one just has a more lasting image in my head. But with that being said, this movie as a standalone movie and as a sequel is great. It makes the final cut for sure, and I will give it a 9 out of 10. Just because it was outstanding, the pacing was good, minus a couple slow spots. The acting was outstanding. The cinematography was picture perfect, no pun intended. And the scariness of the movie was absolutely great, guys. Go out, see this movie. There's so many good movies out right now that I had to choose what I wanted to see, and this was the one movie I really wanted to see right now. So with that being said, I'm Kyle, and I will see you on next time on the final cut. See you guys.